guys, it's Kylie here with Kylie's Canine Boot Camp, and today we're going to go over preventing or reducing the risk of health issues in your dog. This is all going over very common health issues, joint issues, bloat, and cancer. Mazikeen is over there, so if you see her pop up at any time, it's just because she's on my bed. I did go through all of this with vets. I had about 15 vets. All of them I was consulting with to make sure I was getting the proper information. All of these are all things that they agreed on. There were some things that seemed to be a little bit controversial in the vet world because there hasn't been enough research done on that. I will do a video on that later on. If you see me looking down throughout this video, it's because I have notes on here, and some of the notes are not on the notepad, so I'm not just going to be looking here. I might be looking down more at my iPad where I have more notes. So let's get in this. Okay, so first we'll go over overall preventing / reducing the risk of a lot of different diseases. These are things that you can do to prevent most of these. 1, spay or neuter your pets at the appropriate age, of course. Keeping your pet's nails trimmed. Keep your dog at a healthy weight. Overweight and underweight are both very bad. So just because your dog is fat does not mean it's happy or that you're doing the right thing for it. No, you're still gonna be risking a lot for the dog. It's still very hard on the dog, just like being underweight is. Keep your dog up to date on vaccines. For service dogs especially, I recommend getting all of the vaccines and not just the required ones, because we're constantly exposing them to the public. They're constantly going out where there is more bacteria. You never know what dog was in there, and we just don't want to take the risk. I recommend doing it for any pet, especially if they leave the house often or if they meet other dogs often. But especially for SDs where they're constantly being exposed, it's very important that they do get all of their vaccines. Administer and keep your pet on heartworm, flea, and tick medication. That's a pretty simple one. Just make sure you're getting those preventatives so that we don't have to worry about that in the future. Sometimes I have had gauge on certain ones that the ticks seemed to go through. Never had a problem with heartworm or flea aspect of it, but the tick part, there are certain medications that we have tried with him that just didn't work. So always talk to your vet if you notice that there's still fleas or there's still ticks or whatever, and your vet will prescribe a different medication. Keep your dog on a healthy diet. I will go more into what you should stay away from and what is good later on in this video, but overall just stay away from all the nasty stuff, red 40, things like that. There is a list of dog foods that have been known to cause cardiac arrest in dogs. And brushing your dog's teeth. A lot of people don't do this because they don't think about it, because we all think it's a dog, they're good, but they're not. We want to brush their teeth at least once a week with doggy toothpaste. That's a good amount of time to do it, especially if your dog has no other teeth or gum issues. Once a week is perfectly fine for them. If they do have those issues, talk with your vet. Mazikeen and Gage get their teeth brushed every single night. They just only use toothpaste once a week. Okay, now we'll jump into joint issues. First is giving your dog joint supplements. You can do this. I actually have a recommendation from a vet for joints at the age of 1 year old. You can start giving them supplements like Dosequin or Cosequin. I don't know if I said that right. I probably just butchered it, so I'll put it on the screen of how it's spelled. Those are good supplements to give your dog if you're worried about joint issues in the future. Large and extra large breeds, as we all know, are at a higher risk. The more weight and the more height getting on your dog, the more likely it is that they will develop joint issues. So supplements on those dogs especially is never a bad idea. This bit is a little bit controversial, but not in the vet world. Wait to spay or neuter your pet until at least a year old, 2 years preferred. All of the vets that I talk to, every single one of them agrees, and I even see other vets say it in a vet group that I'm in. That's not true. The research that was done on that was not properly done. It wasn't good research. It's not done by any sort of a credible anything. There's no real research done to back up those statements. They suspect that it was breeders that started spreading that so that they could continue to breed dogs and then just spay or neuter at 2 years old with probable cause. But all of the vets still agree that 6 to 8 months is the best time to do it, or for female dogs right after their first heat. None of them find this 2 years old helps to prevent hip dysplasia or whatever. All of them said the same thing. There's no actual research to back up those claims. So overall, it is up to you, but do know if you are going to hold off for 2 years, there's no problem in that. Vets are not going to get mad at you for that. They just want to make sure you know. There's no actual research to that. But if you want to be better safe than sorry, just know that up until 2 years old, you do have to keep your dog on a very, very short leash. You have to have it monitored at all times. I definitely recommend kenneling them when you're gone, because a female in heat is more likely to get out or find a way out, and a male, I mean, it's a male, they're always ready. Exercise your dog daily. I like to see at least 30 minutes a day of exercise in every dog. Well, in the majority of dogs. Obviously, there are dogs like the Belgian Malinois, the Greyhound, that could do a lot more, and I would prefer to see at least an hour of exercise in those kind of breeds that are high energy. Keeping your dog at a healthy weight. If your dog is overweight, you're putting way too much pressure on the joints, especially in a larger dog, and especially if it's happening before the age of 2 years old, when those growth plates have not finished closing. You're just adding extra weight that is unnecessary to those growing joints. And underweight, the bones aren't getting the proper nutrition. Stop or limit the joint impact before the age of 2 years old. This is a good one. Letting your dog jump off the couch, in the car, out of the car, things like that. We don't want to do that. You allow them to do those things before the age of 2 years old. Those joints are not fully closed, meaning there's a lot more impact going on than what it would be if those joints were fully closed and were fully healthy or fully fused. They're not at that age, so we just want to prevent that by reducing that as much as you can. Obviously, dogs under the age of 2 years old are puppies. They're going to want to run around, they're going to want to jump around, it's going to happen, but as much as you can reduce it, go ahead and reduce it. My car is very, very low to the ground. Mazikeen can just step in and out of it, so she's allowed to do that, but the Honda Pilot is a lot higher up in the air, so I have her put her front paws up and then I lift her butt in, just reducing those impact on those joints in any way possible. A healthy diet. Grow your dog slow. Growing your dog slow means you're not overfeeding it a lot of protein, things like that. Unhealthy diets, even though your dog may not get fat or underweight from that, they're just growing rapidly. In large and extra large breeds, that is especially bad. Those joints are growing way too fast. They do not need to grow that fast, so the general rule of thumb is to grow them slow. When it comes to preventing / reducing the risk of bloat, one of the things that they all agreed on is don't use elevated bowls. Those bowls that are up off the ground increases the risk of bloat, so don't use them. Don't exercise the dog an hour before or after eating, meaning if you exercise the dog, you need to wait an hour before feeding it. If it just ate, you need to wait an hour before exercising it. For fast eaters, you need to slow it down. It's more of a risk of bloat if the dog eats fast. You can buy slow eaters. Some people use muffin pans because they don't have the money or don't want to spend the money on a slow feeder. That's fine too, as long as it's slowing down how fast the dog is eating. Smaller meals multiple times a day also prevents bloat. 2 to 3 meals a day is the general rule. If your dog is supposed to get 6 cups a day, you don't want to feed it those 6 cups in one sitting. For multiple reasons. One, the dog is going to be starving later in the day. It's going to be a monster, especially if a dog like Gage, so those 2 meals kind of help to fill that hunger a little bit, and it reduces the risk of bloat. Keep fresh water available. Reduce carbs. Dry and wet food diets, that is one that they recommended, or just kibble with water added in. That's what I do. It's cheaper than having to buy dry and wet food, and on top of that, with Mazikeen, she has such a sensitive stomach, and she doesn't react well to the texture of wet food, so I just water down her kibble. When switching foods, do it over several weeks. Just do it slow. Usually you want to start with the old food. You're gonna have a lot more of that old food than you do the new food. Say you needed to give them 3 cups for that meal, I would give them 2.5 cups of the old food and half a cup of the new food. And then you just slowly get that out. That's just to help prevent the digestive system from going into it like a shock, which could cause bloat. Avoid foods that say fat or citric acid as the first 4 ingredients. That means there's going to be an ingredient list. If within the top 4 it says fat and or citric acids, don't buy it. You should get foods with rendered meat with bone products as the first 4 ingredients. Feed 30% high protein and at least 3% crude fiber. Add enzyme product food like Prozyme, specifically for reducing gas. Avoid soybean products, brewer's yeast, and alfalfa. Promote friendly bacteria by using probiotics such as acidophilus. I'll put that on the screen. If dog is on antibiotics, probiotics should be given 2 to 4 hours after administering the antibiotics, meaning if you just gave the antibiotic, you have to wait 2 to 4 hours before giving the probiotic. Don't let your dog drink water too fast. That one is a little bit harder to prevent your dog from doing. It's harder to get them to slow down drinking, but you have to. It will prevent that bloat from happening. When it comes to bloat, I did have a few vets say that there is a surgery you can do to help reduce the risk of bloat, or prevent the risk of bloat. It is a preventative surgery called gastropexy. I'll put it on the screen. Basically what this does is they suture the wall of the stomach to the wall of the thorax to prevent it from twisting. That's going to be a hard decision to make because it is a surgery, meaning there is going to be risk no matter what, because the dog does have to go under anesthetic and they do have to cut the dog open. Definitely talk with your vet about it if you feel like it's something you could be interested in for your dog. Deep-chested breeds are are even more prone to bloat than any other breed, so those are the ones that I would consider that for. Great Danes are especially known for it, so those are the dogs that I would talk to my vet about for it. Mazakine is deep-chested, but I don't know that I'm gonna get that surgery for her yet. She's already had so many surgeries, it's scary. So talk with your vet about it if you feel like it's a good idea for your dog. And now we can go into preventing cancer. This is a big one because nobody wants to have their dog have cancer because it's terrible. So when it comes to this, spay or neuter your pets. It can help to prevent breast/mammary cancer, ovarian cancer, utero cancer. I'm sure there's other types of cancers that can happen in there, and testicular cancer for males. Minimize the sun exposure. Sounds weird, and with service dogs, we are outside a lot, or the dog is outside a lot with us, so it's not that big of a deal as long as you're not sitting outside for hours and hours and hours. If you are, I always recommend getting something where they can have shade anyways, just to stay cool, because that direct sunlight, especially in darker dogs, is going to be hot. Again, keep the dog at a healthy weight. Keep the dog away from toxins like paint, air freshener, bleach, those kind of nasty things that we shouldn't even really be around. Don't smoke around your dog, or quit smoking. It's bad for you too. So if you can quit smoking, I definitely recommend doing that. But if you are a smoker, or you are in the process of trying to quit, stay away from your dog when you do it. It's bad. It's just as bad for them as it is for us. Just like secondhand smoke is bad to children, it is bad to our pets. And just like we should avoid herbicides, insecticides, and pesticides, and avoid radiation. Those are a lot of those things are stuff that we have to avoid too. All of this stuff, except for spay or neuter, is stuff that we are told throughout our lives, warning us not to go near this, not to do that, or it could cause cancer. So it should be pretty easy things to follow because it's the same things that we're always told. So that is everything I have for you. I definitely wanted to do this video for multiple reasons because I feel like some of this isn't general knowledge. Like, you'd have to be pretty knowledgeable on dogs to know it. I plan to do one educational video a week and one more fun video. Let me know if you guys think that's a bad idea. Let me know if there's anything you would like to see from me. Questions, comments, concerns, go in the comments. And as always, we love you.